For Monday, February 27th, I'm Rue Moody.
And I'm Joseph Sweeney. Thank you for joining us today.
Officers searched the area and were unsuccessful in locating the suspect. The suspect's description is a Hispanic male wearing an orange shirt and black pants. The suspect was also seen driving an older black sedan. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon said a recession in the economy is more likely after the dual failure of Silicon Valley and Signature banks. Dimon states that there are, quote, storm clouds ahead, end quote, and that he was confident the Senate would come to a solution on the debt ceiling. Well, as far as Abbott's campaign goes, whereas Beto took a newer approach with aiming towards younger voters, Abbott stuck more to his base, campaigning in areas like Victoria and Wichita Falls, which are both deeply conservative congressional districts if you look at the numbers. The most that he's done to reach sort of across the aisle has been in places like El Paso, which of course is Beto O'Rourke's hometown. Gracie Abrams, who celebrated the release of her latest album, Good Riddance, she dropped a new music video called I Know It Won't Work. It's a good song, and the music video is very interesting, but in a good way. After California Senator Dianne Feinstein announced she would not seek re-election in 2024, a number of competitors have entered the field, including Democratic representatives Barbara Lee, Adam Schiff, and Katie Porter. Looking strictly at the numbers, Kevin, we can see that early voter turnout has been lower than it was in previous years. Looking at 2018 midterms specifically, about 40% of their voting was done early, whereas now we're projecting only about 31% in for early voting. On Tuesday, U.S. District Court Judge David Hittner struck down Texas's Senate Bill 12, following a lawsuit by the American Civil Liberties Union of Texas. Advocates of drag, a form of exaggerated gender expression, alleged the bill would criminalize their performances when it was first introduced in March.
Drag is not inherently sexual, and that's basically what they're trying to argue, is that drag and queer expression is sexual, and they want us to hide, basically. They want us to keep existing in our nightclubs and dark spaces that we've always had to exist. It impacts our ability to do business and make a living. This is my full-time job.
Absolutely ridiculous trying to take our rights away and just performing and being drag queens. And they're trying to make all of these businesses registered as sexual businesses, which would completely change all of their funding.
Signed into law by Texas Governor Greg Abbott in May, the bill would have fined businesses hosting sexually explicit performances up to $10,000, with such performances done in front of children being punishable by up to 1 year in prison. But drag advocates insist these performances are not inherently sexual nor harmful to children.
This state is one of the worst in child education, almost at the bottom for child health care, and this is the priority that these legislatures want to focus on.
Drag is just a form of art, and like any form of art can be modified for any kind of audience and be produced by many different kinds of people.
District 66 Senator Matt Shaheen, who amended the original bill, said in a May press release that he will not tolerate children being exposed to explicit sexual content from any performer in Texas. While District 1 Senator Brian Hughes, who authored the original bill, told the Texas Tribune he plans to challenge Hittner's ruling, bringing the case to the U.S. Supreme Court if necessary.
The number one cause of children's deaths in America is gun violence and school shootings. So if that's where you senators want to come, y'all should focus on gun violence rather than focusing on drag queens who never, ever, ever hurt children, harm children in any ways.
Come to the show, see what we do, see who we are, and just be respectful.
This is Joseph Sweeney, TSTV News.
Occupation no more. 5, 6, 7, 8. Israel is a terror state. Not another nickel, not another dime. No more money for Israel. Free Palestine. Free Palestine.
While you may look at UT's tower every day, it's not every day you think about what lies inside. Up the elevator, beyond the 27th floor, is UT's Guild of Carillonneurs.
Carillon's a series of tuned bells. I think you gotta have more than 26 to be officially considered a carillon. You play the bells with batons and pedals. Each baton or pedal connects to a string that rings the bell.
If you have experience with the piano, then you basically already know how to read the music for the carillon. It's written the same way that piano music is written, and the notes are kind of laid out in the same way.
It feels more like playing the marimba or a keyboard percussion instrument.
Consisting of 5 members, the guild originates with Tom Anderson, who manned the tower as a student and later as a UT alum from 1967 to 2013. then passing away in 2016.
He would play like on special occasions, like I know April Fools, he would play Christmas music, and then like the funeral march on the first day of finals. Sometimes I try to do stuff like that if I'm free. I think it's like kind of carry on his like legacy.
It's pretty much up to us to make sure that this tradition stays alive.
The group performs chosen pieces at least once a week. Otherwise, a computer automatically chimes in every 15 minutes from 8 in the morning until 9 o'clock at night.
We kind of just play whatever people want to play. Whatever people learn, they can just play up there.
I personally enjoy playing songs that people recognize, usually from video games, or maybe just like pop songs or classic rock.
I play a lot of like classical music, indie rock songs that I like, and like video game soundtracks too.
If you hear Beatles, that's probably me playing it. I have a book of piano arrangements for the Beatles, and it's easy to play that on the carillon.
I've played the Halo theme a couple of times, and that theme song is like really iconic, so I was like, it'd be cool to play that on the bells. Brandon like recorded a video and he posted it, and someone was like, I'm gonna send this to my friend who's on the dev team, and I was like, wow, they saw me. I like performing for people, but I don't like performing in front of people, so I think being up there at the top of the tower and being able to play music for people and they can't see me is kind of like takes the stress away out for me.
It's also fun to be in the tower. It feels like you're in a wizard tower. No one sees you, but they can all hear you.
Whenever people find out that I'm one of the people that plays the carillon, they always ask me, how do you do that? Like, how are you allowed to do that? And like, I honestly ask myself the same thing. Like, this is kind of like an amazing power that we have at the university.
With its staff of over 300 student reporters, the Daily Texan is one of the most awarded college newspapers in the nation. In its over 120-year history, the paper has produced 25 Pulitzer Prize winners among its former staffers. But with all this prestige comes the question, how exactly is the Daily Texan printed?
It'll go through 2 rounds of copy editing, and that's just like grammar, spelling, fact-checking, etc. One of the managing editors will take a look at it, and we'll do things like copy edits that might have been missed, but also things like style, flow, overall comprehension. If it's print, it will then go on to designers who will put it on a page, make it look pretty. It will go through 2 rounds of page edits, and then finally it all gets uploaded to the printer, and yeah, we feed in the stands the next morning.
But when the last story is edited and the last page is designed, the paper isn't printed anywhere on campus, nor anywhere in Austin. Rather, the Daily Texan is sent off for production at the New Braunfels Herald Zeitung, a local newspaper over 50 miles away.
We print 50 other newspapers, not just ours. We print the UT paper. We print Texas State's paper. We print a lot of people up in the Hill Country, all the way down in the valley, all into San Antonio. We print a whole lot of newspapers, and then we have to deliver them also.
Founded in 1852, the Herald Zeitung is the 3rd oldest news publication in the state of Texas, and has printed the Daily Texan for nearly 10 years. But this begs the question, why is the Daily Texan printed so far away?
If you were pretty much anywhere in in this building, even on the top floor, when the press started up, you would feel it physically. It would rumble, and the building would shake a little bit.
It was loud. There was whirring and clanking and the sound of just 50,000 papers being printed, not really a sound that exists many places anymore.
Leah Finnegan most recently served as the editor-in-chief of Gawker Media. She's also a former editor of the New York Times. But before all of that, she was the editor-in-chief of the Daily Texan from 2008 to 2009, the final year the paper operated its own in-house printing press.
No one on staff wanted to sell it, but it was clear that they wanted to get rid of it. It was basically worth nothing. I didn't want to be known as the editor who sold off the printing press because that was such a huge thing for the newspaper, but it was kind of a foregone conclusion.
The real inciting reason was the building we're in, which is so important for our operations, needed a lot of unglamorous, inside the walls work done. It was like, well, maybe this is a natural time to make that shift, to have it be outsourced.
And while the Daily Texan remains in print, those behind the scenes acknowledge that the way the news gets to people has changed.
Digital. It's all gone digital, a long way. We have more people read the paper digitally than we do in print now. And quite frankly, I didn't think that shift would happen for a little longer, but it has happened.
During the time when I was delivering the paper is when 9/11 happened. The next morning, September 12th, I was delivering the paper to Riverside. I remember getting out of the car, moving to put the bundles into the newspaper box. Before I could even do that, the students were ripping them out of my hands, reading them, because reading the news on your personal device was not really a thing at that point.
The sad thing is that when print gets excised, you lose a lot of jobs. But on the flip side, a lot of jobs are created by digital too.
But despite these changes in the industry, for now, the Daily Texan's print edition is here to stay.
There's still enough demand for the physical paper, and it has implications for advertising, a platform they want to be in.
There is something so satisfying about picking up a physical paper. It's like a rare treat, and we are honestly spoiled to go to a college campus where we have easily accessible newspapers that are covering contemporary topics.
We still have to gather the news. We still have to get it together. We still have to have reporters do their job. So there'll always be some type of newspaper. It just may not be in the printed form. I hope that never goes away. I really do. And I think it'll be a long time if it ever does. But at some point it probably will.